Hi, I'm John Arana, and this is Karina San Martin.
What's up, guys?
And hey, we are here once again at The Drop,
Yes.
dropping truth and bringing life. And today we're going to start talking about a very, very awesome subject.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a little hard at the beginning, but man, it's going to get good as we go along, because we're going to start talking today how to overcome self-doubt.
Yeah, it's a good topic, and
How-
it's
how-
something everyone deals with.
Everybody has some kind of level of
No matter
self-doubt.
how confident you make yourself appear.
Yes.
We
And-
all have a little bit
yeah.
sometimes, you know?
And sometimes those people that put on the strongest front are the ones that are
Yeah,
struggling the
sometimes,
most.
yeah,
So
sometimes, a lot of times, actually.
everyone has a little bit of self-doubt
Oh, yeah, of
somewhere.
course.
I
It's
mean,
normal.
it could be a healthy thing,
Yeah.
but carried to an extreme, it could be very damaging
Yeah.
and detrimental to your life.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're going to talk a little bit about the origin. We're going to talk a little bit about, the impact that it has on
Yeah.
your life. And then we're going to talk about tips on how to overcome it,
How to overcome it,
how to
right.
rise above it. So
Right.
in between all this, we're going to throw some throw some hope out there,
Oh, of course,
as we go
Definitely.
along.
I think it's important to understand how, which is kind of what we're going to do in this episode, to understand how self-doubt forms and how self-doubt operates, because
Yeah.
once you learn a little bit more about that, I think it becomes easier to recognize when you're doing it.
Yeah.
To recognize when it's happening, and
Yes.
to then begin to implement some tips that we'll share to
Yeah.
counteract that self-doubt. So
Yeah.
it's almost like you have to have that knowledge and understanding of okay, what is self-doubt? How does it begin to form in my life?
Right.
What are things that I can start looking for
Yeah.
to stop it
Yeah,
and
exactly.
reverse it, or, correct it or whatever. And we'll
Yeah.
get into those tips for sure. But so it is important what we're going to chat about.
Yeah, and I do want to give credit to Dr. Cynthia Tyke, who shared some of these principles, and I read it in an article. And so
Awesome.
we've kind of tweaked it a little bit and adjusted to be able to kind of make it our own.
Yeah, sure.
But originally the material comes from her. But it's interesting that researchers have demonstrated and identified that children, when they're born, their first year, they basically operate as a genius,
Oh my gosh.
like a genius.
So Boss Baby is real.
Yeah.
It's real. I knew it
Oh
all
my
along.
gosh.
They're all
Watch out.
outsmarting us.
Watch out.
Oh my
But
gosh.
they say that they operate as geniuses,
Yeah,
up to
sure.
like age one and a
That's so
half.
interesting.
That there's a lot of things that they just naturally do.
So when those moms say, "Oh, my baby's a genius,"
She's right.
She's right.
She's right.
Now you can say, "Oh yeah, she is."
She's right up to like
Up to
one and a half.
They're like, "No, not anymore."
But it's interesting that they're saying that they also identify that as people get older. This is interesting.
like what happens
I didn't
to
know
us.
this. That as people get older, their cognitive capacity diminishes.
Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
that means you're not going to be as smart when you're 60 than you are as 40. Is that what they're saying?
Does
I
that
don't
mean
know.
I'm smarter than you right now?
Probably. Yeah.
No. I think no. The other way, I think our brains just function differently.
Yeah. But it's interesting how they say there's a decline.
That is
There's a
interesting.
decline. Obviously, I'm not sure that applies to wisdom and so on and so forth.
Yes,
but
we need to start doing some flashcards.
But if the decline is truth, of cognitive functions.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
and it's interesting because you could see older people when they're very advanced in age, even the way they walk changes.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
right,
even the way they stand changes.
Yeah.
You know, so cognitive, behavior, actions
Yeah,
begin to take
Begin
a
to
shift.
change.
Which is kind of interesting. But then the question is, well, what causes that? Why does that happen?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
interesting.
we're getting smarter, we're getting older, we're getting more experience. And so it's interesting that research has demonstrated and put out there that that self-doubt or insecurity, however you want to put it, is basically a learned behavior.
Oh yeah, that checks out. That makes sense.
It is
Makes
not a
total sense.
natural thing.
Right. Yeah.
We're not born with it.
Right. That's
So
interesting.
we learn the behavior
Yeah.
of self-doubt
Yeah.
and self-judgment. And what they're saying is that it's often imparted by the way we are raised, by the way we are treated, by the way we are spoken, by the way significant people in our life actually engage
really-
with us and treat us.
Really, really good, and
It's
also not
interesting.
great, but
right.
but I bet it's true.
Depending on who you had
Yeah, no,
as
it's-
parents growing up
It's-
also.
No, it's true. It's true. And as I was reading this and even as you're talking, I was thinking about this time with one of our kids that I saw her do something that it blew me away as a parent. It was Grace.
Yeah.
She was maybe like, she was walking, but she wasn't in kindergarten. So she was maybe like 3 or 4. So she was little. And we went to this playground and there was these like little steps, but they were separated. So there was like space in between.
Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
they were all different levels like
Okay.
this. And
So you'd have to kind of
you
walk
have
on
to-
top of them.
Yes, and then there's space in between. So
Okay.
there's not like a step every single way. You
Right,
have
right.
to kind of go to the next one
Right,
with the
right.
space. So I told her, she started to get on it and she was standing there, and I could tell she was kind of like, okay, what's going to happen
Do I
here?
do this?
She's
Do I
learning it.
not?
So I told her like, hey, go for it. You can do it.
Yeah.
And so she started, and I didn't think she was going to do it because she's a little more cautious than
Right,
the other
right,
ones.
right.
So she started stepping, and I heard her. It was the cutest little thing in her cute little voice. She was like, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. With every step that she took, she was like, I can do it.
I can do it.
I can do it. I can do it. And I was like, and she did it.
And she did it.
She did it. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, as a parent, I was like, she totally took charge and she decided that she could do it. And she was telling herself,
Right.
I could do it.
I can do this.
And I don't even think it was because, maybe it's because I told her, but I think it was more because she decided, I can do this. And she told herself
purpose in her mind.
every single step. I mean, she said it every step of the way. She didn't stop saying it until she got to the
can do
other
it.
side.
I can do it.
I can do it. I can do it. And I was like, that is so incredible, And now we can't get her to ride her bike, but
That's going to be the next
we're like,
project.
we need to tap into that energy.
Did she ever fall riding a bike?
Not really, because
Not
she
that
hasn't
you can
really
think
ever
of.
really tried.
Okay, and that's interesting.
I mean, she's tried, but that's
Right,
a whole
right.
different thing. But my point is that, we do have the power to tell ourselves
Absolutely.
what we can and can't.
Absolutely. It's amazing how some of these conditions, because it's a conditioning, forms in our life as a result of things that we are told.
Yeah, it's true.
You're never going to be that. Or, no, you can't do that.
Well,
What do you
that's
mean?
hard,
What
or-
are you trying to do that? No,
that's scary.
That's scary. That's hard. Those
yeah.
very good ones.
Yeah.
Or we never have enough money, what do you think? We're Rockefellers?
I heard this one. What do you think? Money grows on trees?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've said it too.
I know somebody in our house used to say that. But anyhow, so it's those seemingly innocent comments
Yeah, of
that
course.
begin to create a mark in our heart, in our mind, in our conditioning. And it begins to sow the seed of doubt.
Yeah.
Think about it. So it begins to sow that seed of doubt. And as soon as you begin to grow that seed of self-doubt, it just becomes an obstacle
Yeah.
in your entire life.
Yeah.
In your
It
dreams,
definitely-
your hopes, you know, things you would love to do, but you're afraid to do because you have so much self-doubt ingrained in you. It truly affects the entire life of a person
Yeah,
that
it
operates.
totally-
And of course, I would imagine there's got to be different levels of depth
Yeah.
of self-doubt.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I mean,
sure.
everybody has a little bit of it,
Right. Yeah.
but there are some people that have a lot of it.
Yeah.
And you can see that those people are basically paralyzed,
Yeah.
you know.
Which is tough, and it's not how God wants you to live or operate at
Right.
all.
Life is doing them, they're not doing life.
Yeah.
You know, they're just kind of letting life come and pass them by. And basically it creates an unhealthy condition
Yeah.
in the life of people. And
Right.
basically people drag through life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they're just dragging themselves. It crushes their ambitions. It crushes their dreams and their
Yeah, no, it's-
aspirations.
It's very, self doubt is such a powerful. Of course, it's a negative, powerful thing, but
Right.
it's such a powerful thing that it can really change our lives and how we live and feel and interact and what we do and don't do and
Right.
our career, our
Exactly,
job, our
yeah.
and it's like just as powerful as maybe not just, but it's like the opposite of self doubt is
Yeah.
faith and confidence.
confidence,
and
yeah.
just like self doubt is strong, so
Yeah.
is that faith and that
Yeah.
confidence. And as you were talking about, those things that are seemingly innocent that have been said to us,
Right.
as you're listening to this episode,
Yeah.
maybe it might take you back to things that have been told to you, or that were told to you as
Oh,
a
yeah.
kid, and I encourage you to like pinpoint those things
Yeah.
and pull it out and
Mm-hmm.
start to really think over it and pray over it.
Sure.
And as we continue with the
Yeah.
next episode, even take the tips that we're going to share and begin applying it
Yeah.
to that specific thing that
Yeah.
stuck with you and marked you.
Well, it's interesting because as you're talking, it reminds me of this experience that I had in college.
Yeah.
You know, I was born in New York, and then when I was 6, all my parents and my sisters, we moved to Puerto Rico. You know this, obviously.
But you know what's funny? You've told me this a million times.
Yeah.
And when people meet you and they ask me about your accent, I always confuse that thing. I'm like, wait, was he born in New York and raised in Puerto Rico? Was he born in Puerto Rico and then he came to New York? And I was like, he lived in both places.
yeah.
But born in New York, raised in Puerto
Born
Rico.
in New York, raised in Puerto
But
Rico.
then you came back to New York.
Then we came back to
to
Massachusetts.
Boston. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the clarification.
Boston area, Massachusetts.
Okay, anyways, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, and of course I had forgotten most of my English.
Well, yeah, because you moved when you were pretty
6.
young.
See, I was 6.
Yeah.
And so I went to high school, graduated from high school,
Almost
everything in
all your
Spanish.
education was in Spanish.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
In spite of the fact that my dad wanted to send me to an all English school, but I said, I'm in Puerto Rico, I'm going to study in
London.
Spanish.
Well, it did you good now.
Big mistake, but anyhow.
No, I'm saying it did you good now. Is you're
Oh, now, thank God,
have
I'm
both.
fully bilingual.
Yeah,
Thank God
exactly.
for that.
That's awesome.
But anyhow, so one of my experiences in college was had to write a paper
Okay.
for a specific subject. And so, of course, I did the best I could. You know, I wrote my paper in English, obviously. And that's when I was studying for the ministry in California in Vanguard University. And I wrote my paper. I gave it to the professor. And the professor gave me the paper back with a big F.
Oh my gosh.
And he had marked my entire paper with
Grammar?
red,
Red
marker.
of course. Yeah.
And it looked like a disaster zone,
my
you know.
gosh.
And I said, so he gave me my paper, and I said, wow, I didn't even get a D for effort or anything, you know. And he looked at me, And he just crushed me. He looked at me and he said, well, where in the world did you learn English?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You can't write, young man. You need to learn English. And so I looked at him, and of course I was less sanctified back then.
Of
I
course.
looked at him and
Yeah.
I said, well, what the heck you think I'm doing here?
Yeah. Right.
I
Yeah.
said, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I said, do you know Spanish?
There you go.
I looked at him and I
There
said,
you
can
go.
you write a paper in Spanish?
There you go.
Well, I can.
Write me a paper in Spanish. I'll mark it up for you.
But that was
That marked you.
40 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
That still
You still
marks
think about
me.
it. Yeah.
That still marks me. When I'm writing or something,
yeah.
I always think, is it going to be good enough? I
Mm-hmm.
might not be good enough. I might not be good enough. And, and I'm
so
sure,
real. That's so
I'm
real,
sure
really.
he did not meant to mark my life like
Yeah,
that
of
for the rest of
course.
my life.
Yeah.
But it's an impulsive comment that people make that can mark you for the rest of your
Yeah.
life
Yeah. Oh.
and crush you. And so some experiences, some things that people may say begin to form that
Yeah.
self-doubt.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, every time I sit down to write, which is on a regular basis, I always think about, in fact, I'm going to tell his name just in case. His name was Professor Wilson.
Professor Wilson.
Dr. Wilson, and it's not the Wilson from the movie
No.
of Castaway.
This is a real Wilson.
This is a real Wilson. And
Yeah.
but on the other hand, that marked me so much that I said, I'm going to learn how to write.
Yeah.
And I'm going to learn and expand my vocabulary.
Yeah.
And so that hurt me, but in a way it also helped me.
Yeah, that's good. And I think you hit on something that I think is super key when we have those moments of interaction, that do mark us and affect our confidence, affect our faith in ourselves, or even the ability that God's given us.
Yeah.
We have two choices. We let it mark us
Yeah.
for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And we let it
I say
push us.
better or bitter.
Yeah, we let it push us to say, okay,
Yeah.
this guy said this. Maybe there's some truth to it. And obviously there was truth to it because,
No, there
you
was
were
truth to
you
it.
were learning English,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so you can take it and say, okay, is there anything I can take to move forward
Exactly.
and be stronger or,
Yep.
improve or whatever? Or let me just spiral down into this and be like, he's right. I can never learn how to write. And that's it for me, So I think you hit on
Yeah.
that's super important to decide what you want to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. It puts you in a place where you have to, be brutally honest with yourself,
Yeah.
and then take it from there.
Yeah.
So it could make you better,
Yeah.
if you receive it that way.
Yeah,
but
no, for
but
sure,
a lot
for
of
sure.
people, take it hard, and obviously I did too. That crushed me. I thought like, oh,
That's
forget
real,
it.
though. We've all had those
It,
experiences.
it was really tough. But, self-doubt can lead to a lot of other problems. It could lead to anxiety. It could lead to depression. It could actually literally lead to cardiovascular problems, high blood pressure,
yeah.
high
Emotional-
cholesterol.
Emotional stress definitely can affect your physical body.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So I think we need to look at self-doubt and realize that it's a total negative force. It's not healthy. It's
Right.
not good. And the first thing we need to do is become aware.
Yeah.
Am I struggling with self-doubt?
Yeah.
Is it,
Yeah.
how is it impacting me? Is it holding me back? Is it robbing me of my dreams, of my goals? And the awareness of that, because sometimes we've been living with self-doubt for so long, we just kind of get used to it.
It just becomes a part of our thinking, I think.
Yeah.
It's very easy for that to happen. And,
Yeah,
and
we think it's normal.
yeah, and I think that for me, some of the signs of like self-doubt, like for me to recognize like that I'm doubting myself,
Yeah,
is that I hesitate.
yeah.
Like
of
I
course.
hesitate to make
Sure.
a decision
Yeah.
or
To take action.
say something
Yeah.
or to take action, whatever that action might be.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you recognize that in yourself, like a hesitation, you know, there's
Yeah.
a healthy hesitation sometimes when you're
of
like,
course.
okay, hold on, let me think and make sure
Right.
I'm like
And-
not just being emotional here.
That's right. Sure.
But I think if you experience hesitation with a specific area or a specific interaction
Right.
constantly,
Right.
then that's to me a big flag that there's something in me going on
Yeah.
where I'm not trusting in what I can do.
Exactly.
You know, or what God can do through me.
Yeah.
Even, you know, so I think that's a good way to recognize
Yeah.
if you are dealing with self-doubt in
Absolutely.
an area.
And I think one of the things that the awareness helps us to identify, am I
Yeah.
struggling with this?
Right.
And then once you have the awareness of it, then you have to think, okay, what are some of the productive things that I can do
Yeah.
to be able to live with joy and you know, live with the confidence that I can take action
That's
in some
really
of my
good.
dreams and
Yeah.
some of the things that I would like to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I think that brings us to hope. You know, self-doubt is correctable.
Yeah.
You know, you
That's
can
good.
you
Yeah.
can overcome that. You can
Right.
change that. You can
Right.
correct that. We're not born that way.
Right.
We learn to be that way, and just like we learn to be that way, we can learn to be confident.
To unbe that way. I would like to unbe this.
We're making up some words here today, but it's good.
I like it.
It's
People do
good.
it all the time, and it gets put into the Urban Dictionary or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
making stuff
Expand your
up too.
vocabulary here with us. But anyhow,
No, that's a really good point, and I think that's where our work comes in. You know, like where we
Exactly.
have to put the work in to
Yeah.
say, you know, am I happy with this area of self-doubt that I'm dealing with,
Right.
or, you know, am I not? And
Yeah.
and you know, my husband actually has helped me a lot with this area, and you know, because I'll tell him certain things sometimes, and he's like, "Well, have you even tried it? Like, have you even done any of it?
have you ever tried
Like,
to do
have
it?
you actually tried to do it?" And I'm like, "Well, no." And he's like, "Well, then how do you know it's not going to be good?"
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I know.
"Well, that makes a lot of sense."
Right,
Like,
right.
And then, you know, he's like, "You have to at least try it
Yeah.
because nobody gets anywhere with anything if they don't even first try it."
And sometimes it could be a totally unreasonable fear,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
unreasonable doubt.
And I think most of the time it is, you know,
Yeah.
that we create these situations or scenarios or
Yeah.
things in our head that it's like,
Yeah.
you know, and then you put it out there and it ends up being great, you know,
Yeah.
or even
Yeah.
if you put it out there and it's not great, like at least you can say,
Hey.
at least I tried it.
Yes.
At least I tried it, and what did I learn from it? And okay, do I want to try it again?
And I live in reality.
Yeah.
like some people keep procrastinating, and as long as they procrastinate, they keep thinking, I haven't failed.
Yeah.
I haven't failed.
Yeah.
But you haven't succeeded either.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know, and as
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
long as I haven't failed, that means I don't have any reason to feel bad.
Yeah.
But yet, you do feel bad because you don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
And then
like
it's
a
like-
vicious cycle.
Exactly. And like I remember just a quick story, like a couple years ago, you know, if you know me, you know that I love to bake. I I just get joy out of baking, and I'm just I'm that person. And so, you know, one year I was like, I think I want to like do something with it, but I don't know what. And so anyways,
You mean something different?
yeah, like
creative?
do something with it, and
Okay.
you know, like, and so I always made apple pie during the holidays,
Right.
since I was younger, and
Yeah.
I would, you know, kind of perfect it and
Oh,
do
yeah.
all that, and everybody loved my apple
Oh,
pie.
yeah, we love
And
it.
then one time I made a pecan pie, and everyone
Yeah.
was like, "This is the best pecan pie," and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "You're just saying that because you know I'm your kid or I'm your friend, whatever."
Right.
So one holiday season, I was like, I think I'm gonna make pies and
Yeah.
sell them, you know, and
Uh-huh.
but I was kind of scared to do it because I was like, what if like
Nobody buys
it is
them?
just like my friends and family like 6 pies, you know, and I was like, well, I guess selling 6 pies is better than no pies. so
Right,
no
that's
pies.
right. Exactly.
You know, and so I did it, and it was like,
Yeah.
it was, I the first year I did it, it was like I think it was like 45
You
pies.
got swamped.
It was so intense.
You got
and
swamped, man.
I was like PTSD from making pies, you know? I was like, I never want to make another pie again.
Yeah, you got
But
swamped.
it's like, it's just that example of like doubting yourself and being like, maybe nobody will even care. But then you
Exactly.
do it and
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like 45 people wanted pies, you know, or whatever, however many people. And then it shows
how
yourself.
does that feel?
Well, it felt great.
Fulfilling.
You know, it felt great, and it felt like,
It's amazing.
you know, it makes you, that's why I think it's important to take those shots, you know.
Take it.
Because if anything, you're going to learn something from it, whether it
Absolutely.
succeeds or it fails.
Right, right.
And even if the thing that you learn is, I had enough courage to take the shot.
Yeah.
As,
yeah.
as opposed to the person who never even takes a shot.
That's right.
You know, so, yeah.
Pablo, one of our son-in-laws, you know, they're in real estate
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, and you know, they've taken a lot of risk and they've taken a lot of big steps,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
and but
It's
so
been awesome to
but
watch.
he has a saying. He says, "Scared money doesn't make money."
Ah, it's true.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And he said, most people, they don't invest because they're scared.
Yeah.
And as long as you have self-doubt, you're not going to invest, and so therefore you're not going to make any money. So with your pie, you know, scared baking doesn't make any pies.
Scared baking makes no one happy.
So I think that once you step over that threshold,
Right. Yeah.
wow, such joy,
Yeah.
such
Yeah, yeah.
fulfillment, such, you surprise yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going like, they do like my pies.
I can do something. I know. No, it's
But
true.
anyhow,
It's true.
I think there is a way out.
Yeah.
There's
there
a
is.
way through.
Definitely.
There's a way to overcome.
Right.
There's a way to become confident. And that's why I encourage you, and I hope you tune in to the next episode, because we're going to talk about 4 awesome tips
Yeah, they're
to
really good.
overcome self-doubt.
Yeah.
And I believe, I'm telling you, it could change your life.
Yeah. Yeah. They're really
It
good.
could change things forever. It could be a game changer for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope to see you again at the next episode where we're going to talk about
Yes.
tips on how to overcome self-doubt.
Yeah. We'll see you guys here, same time,
At
same
the
place
drop.
next week.